Unless you're well versed in Asian geography, chances are that you've never heard of the tiny country of Brunei. Located on the island of Borneo, it is Southeast Asia's last absolute monarchy. But despite its lack of democracy, it is one of the richest countries per capita on the planet. So, on today's episode of the Rooster Report, we're going to be giving you the inside scoop on why the country of Brunei is so rich. But before we do, if you enjoy this type of content, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the notifications bell as it really helps the channel grow. Now, on to the video. Like many small but wealthy nations, Brunei has made a name for itself off of one main export: oil. First discovered in the town of Seria in 1929, ever since it has monopolized the country's trade, as the oil industry currently accounts for about 95% of its exports and 2/3 of its GDP. In terms of quantity, Brunei doesn't seem like a heavyweight on paper, as it is only ranked as the 5th leading oil producer in Southeast Asia, as the countries of Indonesia, Malaysia, Vietnam, and Thailand all export more oil. However, because Brunei only has a population of about 440,000 people, the GDP per capita of the country is absolutely massive, coming in at $64,405 in 2021, according to the IMF. Now, if you just wanted the TLDR, then stop here. However, if you want the real story, then listen on. You see, unlike most extremely rich countries, Brunei is ruled by an absolute dictator that puts men like Kim Jong-un to shame. His name is Sultan Hassan al-Bolkiah, and with his personal net worth of about $28 billion, he is so rich that his wealth is more than double that of the entire yearly GDP of his country. And unlike many other, more humble rulers, the Sultan is the type to flaunt his wealth. For example, his presidential jet, which is known as the Flying Palace, costed an estimated $220 million, while his personal garage, which contains over 450 Ferraris, 570 Mercedes-Benzes, 380 Bentleys, 200 BMWs, 175 Jaguars, 130 Koenigseggs, and 500 Rolls-Royces, is estimated to have cost over $5 billion. When you further consider that he has 10 luxury yachts, at least 17 airplanes, an expansive palace, and 150 mansions in 12 different countries at the very minimum, it's not hard to see why the Sultan is one of the wealthiest people in the world. Now, you might expect that such a wealthy head of state would rub his citizens the wrong way. After all, these luxury items all came from embezzling money from the country's oil industry. Yet, unlike most other absolute monarchs, the Sultan maintains stability by basically maintaining a complete welfare state. What this means is that every citizen has access to free healthcare, free education, subsidized food, and low-priced petrol. There is also subsidized housing, where mortgages are given out at a 0% interest rate, with the Sultan's personal bank account taking the financial hit. The country also has zero income and sales taxes, yes, you heard that right, and an almost non-existent gender pay gap, and has many social programs in place to ensure that everyone can be educated and access high-paying jobs. In order to keep the country financially stable, Brunei made the wise decision of tying its currency, which is known as the Brunei dollar, to the Singapore dollar, with them always being worth the exact same amount and being interchangeable with one another. This has attracted a lot of foreign investment and has created a lot of foreign confidence in the country, with major companies such as Shell and Mitsubishi all investing in Brunei. And as a result, not only are Brunei's oil fields very well managed, but its capital city is very modern and developed. All of these oil profits have all ensured that very few secondary industries have taken root, and this has allowed Brunei's rainforests to remain almost untouched. To top this off, the Sultan loves to make public appearances, and will often do things such as give random citizens large amounts of cash in order to boost his own public image. However, there are many other areas where Brunei does not rank too highly. For example, Brunei is easily one of the most conservative Muslim countries in the world, and many facets of Sharia law are present in the country. For example, Brunei is one of the worst places in the world to go to if you are part of the LGBTQ community, as the penalty for homosexuality is death by stoning. According to the Human Rights Watch, you can also get stoned to death for having extramarital or anal intercourse, while you can have your limbs amputated for stealing and receive 40 lashes with a whip for lesbian intercourse. Beyond these basic human rights abuses, the country also heavily restricts freedom of religion and does not have any freedom of the press, and also does not allow any alcohol, drugs, or pornography into the country, with a mandatory death sentence being the charge for many of the crimes associated with these things. To top this off, since it is a dictatorship, all politicians are either directly appointed or strictly vetted by the government. And since they all must be either Muslim, Malay, or both, minorities within the country are almost invisible in governing bodies, unless the Sultan makes a personal exception, with these personal exceptions being few and far between. Putting its draconian legal and political system aside, Brunei is also in hot water economically. That's because while its economy has essentially been supported by oil since 1929, the world is starting to turn towards renewable energy. And given that 95% of Brunei's exports are oil-related, this will soon spell the end of Brunei's status as a wealthy country. To top this off, Brunei's oil reserves are expected to run out in the next 20 years. And so unless more oil reserves are found somewhere in the country, Brunei will be in deep trouble. As a result, the Sultan has attempted to diversify the economy by investing in glass, pharmaceuticals, and foreign hotels, although to date, these have not really taken off. To try to counter these failures, Brunei has become increasingly close with China. As of now, Brunei is a partner in the Brunei-Guangxi Economic Corridor and the Chinese Belt and Road Initiative, and in 2020, they accepted a planned $13.7 billion investment from China in order to develop their petrochemical industry. Given that Brunei's yearly GDP is just $14 billion, this $13.7 billion investment is absolutely massive, although it may also lead to Brunei becoming dependent on China in the near future as a result. However, even with its economic woes aside, Brunei is also facing a severe obesity epidemic. According to Brunei's Ministry of Health, 20% of Brunei's children are obese, 30% of Brunei's children are overweight, and in total, 61% of Bruneians are either overweight or obese, putting Brunei in dead last amongst ASEAN countries. The obesity epidemic can be chalked up to three main issues. The first is that Brunei imports almost all of its food from abroad, and as a result, there is a high presence of processed and packaged foods in the country. The second is that its cities are not designed for active living, and as a result, a culture of exercise and doing activities outside doesn't really exist in Brunei. To top this off, since there's not much to do in Brunei in terms of entertainment or nightlife, eating food has become a way to combat boredom, leading to widespread overeating. So, all in all, while Brunei may be a rich country that provides for the basic needs of its citizens, its terrible human rights record rivals that of countries such as North Korea and Saudi Arabia, while its restrictive laws make the living conditions in the country quite poor. To top this off, its dictator suppresses freedom of religion, freedom of speech, and political freedoms, and its economic future isn't looking all that bright. As a result, we wouldn't recommend moving to Brunei anytime soon. Let us know in the comments down below what your thoughts are on Brunei. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that notifications bell so that you never miss out on any of our latest content. Until next time.